Coming to you from the all-new Live House in Hollywood, California.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Pensado's Place. Our guests are Evan LaRay and Leslie Brathwaite. But first, we want to mention two people, one you know and one you should know. The one you know is Eddie Van Halen and his tragic passing at 65, one of the most seminal guitar players ever. Van Halen, also one of the most seminal rock and roll bands. One of my favorite burgeoning memories was packing and loading in as I was managing a young band at Muir High School in Pasadena, thinking, wow, this is where Van Halen started. And the other one that you don't know is actually my stepdaughter, Tyler Nicole Moore. Last Sunday, she was taken from us in a terrible car accident. Tyler was, as you can see from these pictures, beautiful, brilliant, passionate, a music lover. Much of the music of the Pensado Wars was stuff that she picked and would turn me on to. She was a rising executive at SoundCloud, just had a promotion, and God had other plans. I'm giving you a straight face now, but I don't feel that way in my heart. But a lot of people have reached out, and I wanted to share and honor her, honor both of them. So this week, we've lost other people as well, but special to me, Eddie Van Halen, which should be special to you, and Tyler Nicole Moore, which would be special to you if you know her. And for those of you who did, what a great spirit. And now our conversation with Evan LaRay and Leslie Brathwaite. Welcome to this week's episode of Pensado's Place. We have brought two incredible hit makers with incredible histories beyond the biggest thing that's going on in their careers right now. Tons of records, tons of platinum, tons of awards. We got even a few Pensado Award winners up in here. We are pleased to welcome our dear friend, Leslie Brathwaite, and our newest dear friend, Evan LaRay, the team behind WAP and a whole bunch of records. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
What's up, Evan? How you doing?
So
Glad to be here.
Let's jump in. I think, Evan, it was interesting in researching it. It felt like the pandemic put sort of a focus on recording because there wasn't much else to do. Is that fair to say?
Yes. So during the pandemic, it was like she had time to kind of like settle down and really lock in and really go through the songs. That's what she really want to do and express. You know what I mean? Before, she was just on the tour, shows, and just quickly recording. And it's like she's not really putting her full focus in. So during the pandemic, we were just locked in the studio for months, and I was happy for that. Like, right. It changed everything.
One of the things that I thought also was interesting is that sometimes you will, as you're listening to her, you'll capture phrases and things that she says and sayings and so forth, and then feed it back to her around beats and stuff like that. That's amazing. And two, that's a lot about the trust between you two, correct?
Yes. So she say a lot, as you see her Instagram, she say a lot of crazy things. You know what I mean? A lot. And it's like, I sometimes just want to pick her brain. Sometimes I just capture certain things because I know, listen to the beats. It's like I could pick the right beats for her mood. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what I like to do.
Well, I noticed on I can't tell if it's in the mix or if it's in the recording, but the verses kind of start a little bit low, and I have to kind of lean in to hear them, and then as they progress, it goes into more of a rapping, singing style. Was that intentional? Because I love it. I'm gonna start doing that on everything I do.
I think that's just naturally. I think naturally that's how she is, and Evan does such a good job. I will tell y'all this, and Evan knows. I say this to him all the time. Evan is most of her sound. What you hear as far as how she delivers, what's captured, what's there. I don't have to do much when I get to the mixing phase. When he sends me the sessions, it's pretty much the vibe is there. And a lot of times I'm focusing on the beats and on the music and on making it slap and making it really come through. A lot of her energy, her personality, what you're talking about, Dave, as far as her kind of starting off subtle and then the energy builds and she builds, all of that is created ahead of time. That's all Evan.
Yeah.
Well, I got to compliment you because you know we got history, and we got so much in common. I thought that I don't know if it was Evan or you, but whoever speak to this. Sometimes it's hard to get two singers to work sonically together and to work rhythmically and vibe-wise together in the same track. And something like a Boys to Men, when they had 4 people, it would take days to get all that stuff together. But I love the way it seamlessly went from Megan to Cardi. And whoever gets the credit here, shake your head and tell us how you did it.
I think it's a team effort. And I think also, too, it's worth mentioning that Jason Joshua, he mixed Meg's vocals. And so how that came about is I actually mixed some records for Meg, before, but he had started mixing with her recently. And I think what Meg was looking for was a specific cadence in her ad libs, and there's certain things that she just knows. And her and Jason developed this language. So Jason was like, "Hey man, Meg really wants me to just touch the vocals and can I send you a couple stems of the vocals?" And I was like, "Sure." And we worked together. And so what he did was really easy to then incorporate what I do. And what I do is really an extension of what Evan does as far as her vocals. Evan really puts like the effects and a lot of that stuff that's moving around and her reverbs and reverse reverbs. Evan does all that ahead of time. And so for me now, it's about making sure that the personalities and the feelings and the energies match just with, and you know me, you know how I mix. It's basic, it's levels, it's not doing too much. So again, those two guys, Evan and Jason, really made my job easy to where when I'm bringing it together, I don't have to do a lot of fighting.
Well, you're being kind of humble because I know you did a lot. But
I tell you what it feels like as a listener, and we joked earlier about the NBA. It feels like a team where everybody understood the play. Yes. Everybody knew the handoff. Everybody knew how to, and that translates into, for me as a listener, into a record that feels seamless, even though there were different hands in the pot. And I tell you the other thing that I really, really like about what you guys do is you use technology with restraint. Like Cardi comes off, Megan comes off as artists who there's technology that helps enhance what they do, but they're not defined by it. Like Leslie, you're wearing the Antares, T-shirt, and I know Evan, you use auto-tune on certain things and other stuff. Evan, tell us on your side, what are your go-to technological things that you do in recording? Not just Cardi, but other folks as well.
Really just the signal chain, really just trying to get a clean recording, make sure everybody's happy, naturally, acoustic, make sure we're not clipping, gain staging, pretty much like the simple stuff. One thing I learned from Leslie is don't do too much. If you're overthinking it, it's over. You know what I mean? Once you're overthinking it, it's like you take it, you're moving away from the mix. You know what I mean? You got to make sure everything feels good. Everybody feels good and happy. So.
And that was one of the key things you said, Evan. Notice the second thing Evan said was making sure they're happy. Yeah. So a lot of times as engineers, we let the technology use us, and you just got to use it as a tool, but you always got to focus on the artist got to be happy. We got to bring this thing across. It has to have a feeling. It has to make people feel something. So I'm glad that was the second thing out of your mouth was making sure they're happy and not a whole bunch of technical X, Y, and Z's. And that's the focus.
It's also a great way to work in one of your biggest hits, happy. So you all practice that before you got here. But it's a really relevant point in that.
Cardi, we're talking about you. I'll call you back.
Both your guys' use of technology feels to me like it's a natural extension of what you do rather than something that you feel like you're a slave to. That if you're hearing things that don't make sense, that technology is out the window. Like it's just not, because people think that you're just making automatic decisions and every one of them works. And that's not how it works. You got to find it, correct?
Yeah. And the feel, like we were saying, the goal is to make the audience feel something, but that feel theme has to be there throughout. And like, even when I'm mixing a record, my number one goal, or one of my goals, is as I pass this record back to Evan, because Evan is the person who's with her the most. So he's with her 24/7. He knows how she thinks. So I actually have to filter the mix through him first before she hears it, because he's going to know what she's going to pick apart. Right. And so my goal is I got to get this back to Evan to where I didn't ruin the feel that he intended when it left his hands. And so it's all about that kind of energy and synergy of feel and understanding. It's not about doing too much. It's about respecting the sound, respecting what we're trying to do. And like you said, I did want to touch on this one point with this team in particular, from Daryl Jones and Johnny and Lanray and Craig, even all the way up to Craig Kalman at Atlantic. This whole team, it works. It's just like what you said. It's like everybody knows their role. We all know to play. Let's go. And we know when we need to pass the ball. We don't have any internal fussing and going back and forth. We just all get it done. And I love this particular team and how it works. And I think it's why we get the results we get. Even from the first album, it's been the way we knocked out the first album, the way when me and Evan met and we just had an understanding and we were rolling. And it's just that energy, understanding feel and not ruining feel.
I was surprised to see that she started this in 2019 and that it progressed and progressed and progressed. And then she finished it in a rented house in LA. And if people think that these things just happen accidentally, they don't. This was like Leslie is saying, it's a team effort. And if you look at the people creatively on this thing, there's a few people, and it's a really well crafted song. And Evan, how many times a day do you blush when you're working with her?
In the beginning, it was a lot. Then I got used to it. I just started laughing. It's like shaking my head. I shake my head a lot. Every time she says something crazy, I be like this. Oh, here she go. Like she say the most outlandish stuff. And it's crazy how that song came apart. Like we really had that song 2019, and it's like she would come up with a crazy idea and say, "I want to go in a booth and lay this down." We lay it down, and then she'll go to the next thing, the next song, the next whatever, and then we just pandemic came back around. We just locked in on it. She caught another vibe, and we was like, "We're just gonna add Meg on it," and there it goes.
The funny part about when she's outlandish, your net worth grows. the more she's outlandish, or your bank goes, cool. Go ahead and do it. But there's I'm making a joke, but there's artistry in that. Like she, to me, Cardi, as I have, like when I became aware of her, and as somebody who watches Love and Hip Hop, and I was saying there's something unique about this. This isn't somebody just crazy with a crazy voice and Hennessy and all the folks. Like there's something about her that is just so magnetic, and it goes in through her artistry. And I wondered before the pandemic, particularly with you, Evan, when you're traveling with her, are you doing a lot of mobile recording? Or are you getting to a studio where she's comfortable? Or how did it work when you're on the road?
It's a bit of both. Like sometimes when we went to Paris, we were just in a hotel. I think it's like a clip around where I was putting up bed and like couches and stuff like together. We were just trying to get like a little mobile rig, just record it wherever she's comfortable at the most. Yeah. Usually she'll finish her photo shoot around 3:00 in the morning, and then trying to book a studio last minute, it wouldn't work. So we would just have to, wherever she's at, to come over and record. Or if it's like, we planning a whole month, we would get a studio and just rent it out like that.
And real quick, because I know Dave's got a question, but I just would like to assign you both the task of when you see Daryl Jones, slap him in the head for me as one of my children. Just pop. He's got a head that's very poppable. Just pop him in the back of his head and say that's for Herb. Okay.
Will do. I wanted to say one quick thing, Herb. That thing that you referred to, that special thing, I think it centers around authenticity. And then she has the rare gift of a lot of artists where they have to turn on their artist personality and then they go back to being the regular person. And some are very good at it.
Yeah.
When you don't have to turn that on, there is no switch. There is Cardi. There is no on-off switch. She is who she is. That is her authentically. There is no faking, none of that. And when I got around her, when we were doing the first album in Miami, we were mixing, and I got to be around her, I was like, this is her. This is who she is. Right. And it's so authentic, and that is part of the magic. There's obviously some parts of the magic you can't really put your finger on, but that's one you can put your finger on.
No, great point.
Leslie, if it's the right time, I would like to, man, on Snitches on Pop Smoke. I love that. I love that mix. I love what you did.
Thank you.
How did that come about?
That came from Stephen Victor reached out to me, and he, I believe, I can't remember what record he heard at the time when he said, I gotta have you mix this record. I think it was WAP. I think WAP had dropped already. I gotta remember the timing of it. It was some record. I can't remember what it was. I feel like it was WAP. But in any regard, he did mention Cardi, and he did mention the work I did with her previously. And Stephen Victor reached out and he was like, yo, I gotta have you on this record. I gotta have you mix this record. And Quavo speaks so highly of you. And Quavo was on the record. And I had been mixing a couple of Migo records since the quarantine a lot. And, you know, everybody knows I've been mixing in my truck and just pumping them out.
Yeah, we talk about that.
My sisters were talking about that the other day. You know? That's so cool.
Tell us about the truck, man. The truck has become famous. How does it work? Go.
Yeah, that came about. It's funny because I remember when I called Evan and told him I was mixing the truck, I was like, word? Like, for real? I was like, yeah. But it came about because, and Evan kind of touched on it even with his story, where you got to know part of being a good engineer and a good mixer and all these jobs that we have in this industry is understanding how to serve your client and understanding how to adapt, understanding how to get it done. So just like Evan was pointing out where, okay, he realized, they were moving around and then she would come at 3 a.m. and want to book a studio. That didn't work out. So he had to create a studio environment. He had to put some beds together and figure it out and get her to where he doesn't want to lose that vibe. Let's get it recorded. Yeah. Same mentality, which is it's quarantine. When the lockdown started, there were 2 positive cases two people tested positive at our studio at Mean Street. They were, DJ Don Cannon and Drama. Right. And we decided to lock the studio down. So I knew I had to mix from home. And my thing was, I don't really have a room set up at home, treated and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, it just hit me. I was like, we always check our mixes in the car. I check my mixes in the truck all the time. I'd actually had to do a little makeshift check a mix in the truck a while back where I just hooked up my laptop, hooked up the Apollo, dumped into the car system, and it worked well. And I was like, I'm going to bump it up a notch. I'm going to move my whole setup in the truck. I'm going to get the Focal speakers. I'm going to get my KRK sub. I'm going to get me a little desk. I'm going to find a way to squeeze it all in there. Because when you think about it, the environment in the truck is perfect. Like there's no reflective surfaces. Everything is padded. The roof is padded. Nothing is parallel. Even the windows are a little, caved in. And it's an environment designed for that. It's designed for optimal listening, So I was like, this could work. And I started mixing a couple records in there and they started sounding really good. I mixed WAP in the truck. I mixed, like you said, Snitching. I mixed a few records in there and it just started working. And it's a comfortable space too. It serves so many purposes because being at home, I can now mix a record like WAP. I got 2 young daughters. My daughters are 11 and 8. So can you imagine mixing the dirty version? No. I can't have them hearing that. So being in the truck, isolated, in the garage. Of course, the truck is on, but the garage door is open. So, don't try to mix in your vehicles and kill yourselves.
Right.
But so it serves so many. It's like my little mini office. It's a way to feel like I'm a little bit removed, but I'm still at home. And I have personally, I say this with all the sensitivity in the world because I understand that a lot of people have been gotten sick and dying and all this. So I say it with sensitivity, but I have been enjoying some of the positive things from COVID and from being at home so much with my family. The only time I've eaten 3 meals a day with my family is when we're on vacation. And so to do that on a regular basis now and to be able to still work and we all find our grooves and my daughter's going to school in her bedroom and my wife is working in her office, it works. And so it's been really cool to mix in the truck and just be able to find a place where I really love the sound and I really lock in. And so I called Ev and I told him all about it. I'm mixing in the truck and, Ev was loving it.
It's just brilliant. when you think about the environment and how many of us listen in our cars to begin with as professionals, but then how many people consume in their car, good
Absolutely.
or bad, their car for them is bumping. Everybody's car is bumping, no matter whether they got factory stuff or they got special stuff. I think it is so amazingly smart. And look at the records that are coming out. But I think that's also part of, I read something where, Leslie, you had referred to a number of different sources where people can learn. And one of them was us, which we thank you for. But part of what is so amazing about guys like yourself and Dave is that with all the technologies coming is the absolute brilliance in adjusting to conditions to keep making hit records. It's the most fluid. 7 years we've been doing this, the situations, the fluidity, the rooms, the sharing of files, the collaboration globally, it changes weekly. And you guys are continuing to, and look, let me just say this, I think Dave will agree. Not everybody has that extra light. Like you talk about how Cardi's got that extra thing and that authenticity. There are some engineers, you two in particular, Jason's another, we could go through a list that have that extra thing, that extra gift. And part of, I think of what it is that you don't rest on your laurels. You're searching, you're curious, you want to find out more. Is that fair? Speak to that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun I told somebody, I got excited when I started like moving my stuff in the truck and like my wife was looking at me crazy. And I was like, man, I could make this work. And it was fun to see how it would come out. Let's experiment. Let me move the speakers back a bit. All that stuff is fun and it's exciting. And it's about, like you said, not getting locked in. And I'm sure the same thing with Evan, where Evan's attitude has always been great. When I met Evan, I knew me and him were going to be cool. And I knew I had so much to teach him because his attitude was right. And when you have somebody with the right attitude, they can receive all the lessons that you have to teach. And for Evan, like to say, hey, you know what? We can't book a studio at 3 a.m. Let's put some beds together and make a vocal booth. And let's get it done. Let's make it poppin'. Like that mentality and that attitude is amazing. Like no complaining. Let's just get it done. Let's get it done.
Evan, I'm getting a lot of questions about headphones now, and I've sucked with headphones before the quarantine. And Jaime Esteledia, one of my assistants, said, "Man, you just got to bite the bullet. Just walk around and listen to headphones." And so now I'm pretty good with headphones, and I feel like I've accomplished something because I can get a twin and some headphones. I can go anywhere now.
Right.
Yeah. And one day, Alex the Kid said he mixed one of those big songs on the train, and I'm like, man, I wish I could do that, you know. And how's your headphone? Are you using headphones now? And then Leslie, you after that?
Yes, I use headphones all the time. The Audio Technicas. It's like I'm so used to it. Like growing up, all I had was like Beats headphones or like Sony headphones, everything. So I know a lot of consumers, like he said, a lot of consumers in a car, a lot of consumers in a club, a lot of consumers just have headphones on. So I learned if I can make something sound good in headphones and make it knock or make it crispy, whatever effects, once it sounds good and feel good in headphones, I know it's going to translate throughout. And then send it to Leslie. Leslie gonna make sure everything make sure I'm not doing too much, not too much high end, too much low end. And I mean, it just makes it like he checks it out for everything.
What's one piece of advice you have for someone that's struggling to try and get the headphone thing down?
Don't listen for a very long time. Take breaks. Like that kind of mess up. Air fatigue is a key thing for me.
Yeah, so and air fatigue is like multiplied with headphones.
Yeah. Like I blasting loud. Sometimes I mix slow, but blasting it too loud will mess up your ears. So I was like, all right, I listen for like 30 minutes and then stop. Just take an air break, walk around.
I noticed that too. I dialed a little tiny bit of my mid-range back like that at 1.5 to 3K. I put it on. I put that EQ where it can't go to tape, so I put it right after the track that I print to, so I can't go to tape. And I find that it gives me a little longer time between taking a break, you know. But
yeah.
I'm so excited about that. There's nothing much about this quarantine that's good, but that was something that I probably would have been slow in developing if it had not been for that.
Can I ask a favor? Because of the blessing of being supported in our position, we get either lots of stuff and sometimes we don't get great stuff, but sometimes we get great stuff. When we have great stuff, I always want to forward it on for people to try. So we got a couple plugins, a company called Leapwing and other kinds of things that we're getting rave reviews back on. Can we send you guys some of that stuff?
Please.
And also a headphone company we're doing some work with. They actually make headphones for musical creators. They're called Aw Sounds. We'll send you some of that as well too. But Evan, I got to tell you, as a professional but not a technological guy, but a professional music business, I got some Audio-Technica cans over the years that when I wore them so much that when I took them off, my hair had foam in it. And I thought I had some sort of disease for a minute. I was like, wait, what is this? So I called Audio-Technica and said, look, you got to send me another pair. They are just the most incredible, lifelike, accurate, and powerful kind of, and really, really good. But anyways, being able to share that kind of stuff with you guys is really cool. And Leslie, you said something earlier. I love mentors. I love mentors and I love mentees. And everybody on this Zoom has both. We've been mentors to lots of people, and you're going to have mentees because of your success. Evan, who in your life has been a mentor to you in terms of your craft that's helped you get here?
Honestly, you guys. Pensado, for real, I learned everything off of YouTube. And then Leslie, like, he really guided me and coached me through everything and made, like, I usually look at him and just be like, all right, what would he do? Understand, like, if I just use his thought process. If he wouldn't do it, I would not do it at all. So just learning from him and learning from you guys.
Wow. Yeah, same here.
And just so you know, this relationship isn't even just about when we're working on something together. Like, Evan has sent me stuff that he was mixing a record the other day, and I said, hey, shoot it to me. Let me put some ears on it, and I'll give him some tips, da-da-da. And at one point, the managers got involved, and I think it was a little bit of back and forth on things. And I think a lot of times it's just they don't have the faith in Evan yet because he's new at mixing. Yeah. And so the managers was trying to pass it off on me, like, well, Leslie, you should mix it. And I was like, nah, Evan got it. Let me just help him out. Let me, it's because it's not about taking work from him or trying to always be the mixer and he's the recording engineer. The goal is, at some point, the goal is to get you to be a colleague. And yes, some people look at that as you're creating your competition, but I never look at life like that. Like what I tell people all the time, like, I'm a firm believer in God, whoever, people place their religious whatever's in. But what God put on the plate for me is for me. Like what's for me is for me. And I don't mind sharing, teaching, giving, throwing work. It doesn't matter. It won't affect me if I help him. And so I've always told him, like, yo, call me up if you got a question on the mix, or if you want me to put my ears, and I do that with a lot of my, cats that came up under me. And it's worth noting that I'm sure some people know, but Dave was one of my main mentors, in the beginning. When you were here in Atlanta, Dave, we talk about it all the time. You were here with RCA doing with Ty-V and them. Yeah.
Man, we had fun back then, like beating up on a kid that was like it was running LA and shit, knocking him down in the hallways. And Dallas. I miss that time period. But Betty came to me already a pro. You were better than me when you were helping me. I never told you.
But you taught me a lot of things. You taught me how to fly vocals correctly. You taught me a lot about perspective, and you taught me how to deal with clients. I looked at you and how you dealt with clients and how you spoke to the artists and how you cared about stuff. Like, all that stuff, I learned so much from you. So it's about passing it on. And like I said, when I met Evan, I was like, gotta help this kid. He's great.
During this time period in my life, I needed that. Thanks a lot.
But speaking of mentoring, we recently had, and Leslie, you and I talked about this, and you can share this if you want, to show you how powerful mentoring is. We recently had an amazing lady on who works for NASA, and her mentor was Leslie. But Leslie told me something I didn't know when you met her. Tell us the story, Les.
Alexandra Perriman, really good. She became a really good friend of mine. She works at NASA now. When I met her, she was a student at Full Sail. She was failing. She was having, really hard time grasping the material. She was homeless, but still struggling through, just working through it, working with, the great people at Full Sail that helped her to figure out her homeless situation. Because she wasn't homeless on the fault of anyone. It wasn't like the school wasn't helping her out. She just didn't want to tell anybody. She had so much pride, and I think a little bit of it was, shame and all the things that we would feel if we were homeless.
Sure.
And once I said, look, let me help you, and got her the help she needed. She turned her grades around. She told me that me and a fellow Hall of Famer from Full Sail, his name is Demo. Demo and I did a lecture together, and she said it was so powerful to her. She took notes on so many things we said. So a couple of years later, she walks up to me with the same notebook that she had taken the notes. And she said, I just want to thank you. I just want you to know how much you helped me turn my life around. I graduated with honors. I now am an intern at NASA. This is when she had just got the position. She just told me all this stuff, and I literally just started crying, literally in front of her, just started crying. Both of us just started boohooing. And then sure enough, and this was at a Hall of Fame celebration. So Demo walks out the door, and he's like, why are you crying, bro? You all right? And I was like, I said, bro, let me tell you this story. And all three of us are standing there crying like babies because it was so dope to be able to help this young lady. And look what she became. She just recently purchased a house, just recently. She, she continues to just amaze me. And it's great to be some part of that story in somebody's life.
Kudos to you, brother.
Yeah. You'll be blessed for that. You are. That's an incredible story. We didn't know that, did we, Herb? That's pretty cool.
Well, Leslie and I talked about it on the phone when I reached out to have them on the show. And I was like, I wouldn't have told that story without her permission, but it's even better coming from the person who experienced it and actually, I wanted Leslie to have that opportunity. And the other thing, Ev, for you, you're a star. Your skills and your disposition make you a star. I've been recognizing stars for probably 30 years in this game. And the beauty of it is with the people you have around you and your focus on your skill set being straight, now when you give back, you're going to give back that same clarity. You're going to tell somebody cut out all the bullshit. You know what Dave and I tell people when we're giving talks? We tell them we will dunk on them. Don't get the old age twisted. Don't get all that.
Facts.
I'm here to compete. And if I come at you with a hammer dunk and you knock me down, I'm going to get up and try to jam it again. This is a game of results. Yeah. And the fact that you have results allows you then to have a disposition to be giving.
Absolutely.
And those people who don't give, F them. Right?
Yeah.
That ain't the right thing. The right thing to do, it's an amazing fraternity of talented people. And Evan, you're where you are not just because you have good mentors, it's because your skill set is fire.
I'm telling you, that's why I always tell people when they praise me about, this Cardi mix and that Cardi mix, I always say, man, Evan is a real huge part of her sound. Don't give me all the credit. Evan does a lot of the work. He makes my job super easy.
Man,
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well,
you ever frolic in that grass behind you? Does he ever let you out there in the backyard, Evan? You guys ever play polo and ride the horse?
I got to come over to play some basketball.
There we go. Now, it'll be the slowest basketball game you've played in a long ass time, but it have earnest stuff. All right, so you're in the middle of this incredible anthem. It is huge globally. Cardi's records are just incredible in turn, not just her records, but the records that she breaks. Revenue earned and streaming and so on and so forth. And what happens is if people haven't gone through and for our audience to watch, is there's a collateral effect on everybody who is involved in the record. Your career can go crazy. You start having distractions. People are after you. People want you to recreate what you did on her, on other people. So both of you, Ev, how are you handling it? How's it affected you? And then Leslie, same with you.
Honestly, I just tell them, I show them if you want to record with me, I show them exactly what we use. But really to get her sound is her. You know what I mean? It's like her performance and what she want to do. It's like I'm there to kind of not even coach her, like guide her. Like if she's getting too far off the track, I'm like, no, put it back here. You know what I mean? But she really does everything herself, like her ideas. And then I just come in with the creative delay effects, and then Leslie come in, tell me all little tricks and tips and stuff like that.
Right. But your phone is ringing more, I bet.
Yeah, phone definitely ringing more.
Yeah, when you have a hit like WAP, everybody's calling like, "Hey man, you mix WAP, I gotta get you to mix so and so." So like you said, that's the number one residual effect is it's like everybody starts paying attention to you again all of a sudden, and they start calling again, and they start, "Oh man, Leslie, you mix WAP, I gotta get you to mix so and so," and da. So it's always a good feeling when your work generates those calls and people start calling like crazy. And I've been blessed, like. I've been working like crazy during the quarantine, probably more than I've worked in a long time. Like it's been crazy.
And ultimately, and again, I think for the audience to take from this as we get ready for Batter's Box, I think that you have to understand that in bad situations, you have to find the good. And if you're collaborating and file sharing and doing stuff, there's no reason for you not to work. And also during times like this is often when artists lead, when great music will come out and speak to the conditions that we're dealing with and give people hope and other kinds of stuff. So this is a time to power up and do things even as hard as it is. And notwithstanding people who are sick, I've had people close to me who've passed from COVID, and notwithstanding people who are having economic devastation, but you kind of have to, I liken it to cancer, you kind of have to live with it and not die from it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so this is the time where we can say to people, no, you can do things. No, you can collaborate. No, you can, take this time to make your craft better. Is that fair?
It is fair. And it's why I'm so big on promoting that story about me mixing in the truck, because I want the younger cats who they all come up in this industry thinking that you got to have a big studio, large format board. And they think that because I got the #1 record in the country, or because I mixed, I had a kid the other day was talking to me and he knew I mixed Jack Harlow's What's Poppin' and the What's Poppin' remix. And that's doing well too. And so he was like, I'm saying you couldn't have mixed that in the truck. Yeah, I know you was just fronting, you was just lying. I was like, no, I actually did mix that in my truck. And it's important for them to know that we are making sacrifices and making do with what we have and finding innovative ways to get our work done. We're not lying about it. This is how we're, and it's important for us, the ones who are leading the way and topping the charts, to let these younger cats coming in the industry know, yo, you got to figure it out. Like we have just as much as you got. I'm sitting here with a laptop and a Apollo Twin X. I got the same tools you got. So don't come with excuses. Let's go.
Great point. All right, both y'all are, in various sports centers where you're both incredibly astute about sports. And, Dave is bringing a Florida meets LA kind of thing to this. So in Batter's Box, your job is to knock his head off. Like you just got to, Evan, what sports team do you like?
Right now, Lakers.
Oh, my man.
Same here.
Oh, double my man. Shit. All right. Well, man, we're not even going to do Batter's Box. No. I'm just kidding. So, DP, won't you tee up Batter's Box and let these Laker fans knock you out a little bit? Shit, I might help.
I'm not a great one, but I am. Okay, here we go. Bass.
Decapitator.
Little Labs, Voice of God.
Ooh.
It's going to be tough, Herb. It's going to be tough. I might have to get you to help me.
Yep.
Limiting.
L2.
The L2.
Okay. In the Box.
Headroom.
Loops.
Apollo Twin X.
Okay. That doesn't count. That's too slow.
I go Looperator.
Ooh, that's a hard one. Loop Masters.
Middle side MS Technique.
I'll go with Pro Q3.
EQ7.
Favorite piece of outboard gear.
1073.
Tube Tech PE1C.
That's a good one.
What the fuck is that? Okay, we'll save that for a minute. Saturation.
Soft two, saturation on.
I don't know.
Okay, moving on. I watch a lot of Family Feud, and I just had the buzzer on you. You went a little too far. Local mic.
I'm going with U87.
Yeah, U87. Had to bite your answer.
Okay. Any answer on this one? Sources of inspiration. Your inspiration.
God, family, and you guys.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Michael Jackson.
Ooh, nice.
Reverb.
Valhalla for reverb.
Okay. Vintage verb.
Altiverb.
Most annoying frequency.
I go around 2.2K, around there, 2K, you know.
3.14K.
That's what I thought too. What's the cheapest piece of gear that you've used on a record that we might know?
I say the Shure SM7B, yeah.
Okay. Leslie?
Cheapest piece of gear. Ooh. Radio Shack mic.
I know that, Mike. You gotta dig great. Evan, you came through like the champ, man. I think you might have scored a little tiny bit higher than Leslie, because Leslie got beeped out a couple of times, so he's doing something right with you.
Yeah, Evan got me on saturation for sure.
It's a classic Lakerism, because you're smooth when you answer, but you're hitting 3-pointers. You're just draining them. So Evan's got a game kind of like AD. He can do a number of things. He can take you off the dribble. He can bring it up court, but he can post you up in the 5. Nice. And then Leslie's like a 3. He's strong. He'll bust you up on the rebounds, on the boards and stuff. So yeah, I mean, these are my boys. That's what we have. And by the way, before Dave takes us home, two quick things I think from our perspective. One, it's an honor that we could ever be any positive influence on you guys whatsoever. So that's an honor. But what you have to know is how much of an influence you guys are on us. Our inspiration comes from having friends like this who continue to just not only kick behind, but then take our call. Actually, when I first called Leslie, he didn't get back for a day or so. And I said, he's finally gotten too big for me. He used to call me back and shit, but damn, WAP took him to another level. And then he called back. I was like, hey, Leslie, you called back. We are truly inspired. Leslie, from the time we met him, beyond his craft, his humanity has been as big a thing as his craft. And Evan, it comes off of you in droves, brother. You have a light around you, both in terms of what you mean to artists and what you mean to craft, but ultimately what you're going to mean to the business. I already see it. That's partly my gift. So I am on bended knee and honored. And you're Laker fans? Shit, Dave, take us home. That shit is the bomb. Oh no, that shit is bomb. Sorry.
A thought came into my mind of a saying that I've heard my whole life, and I think this is the first time I get to use it. I think it's applicable, and that saying is, no man is an island unto himself. No man is an island unto himself. And I think one of the things that was a continual thread through this interview was the fact that there's a couple of guys that look out for each other, and then they're looking out for people. And I'm here because of Herb. I'm here because of a lot of people in Atlanta. I thought about giving up a couple of times, and I had people that kind of gave me that assurance to move ahead. And so pay it forward, pay it back, pay it whatever you want to pay it. But I think it's really healthy to surround yourself with people that care about you, and people that can keep you on the straight and narrow, and people that can keep you from being the only one on the island. And I think it's a very, very, very common thing at the top, at the upper level, where Evan and Leslie are. it's not a solo sport. It's not tennis. It's not golf. It's a team sport. And the more people you have in your support team, the better work you can do, and the better you're going to help this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful profession we call music. So think about it, guys, and we'll see you next week.